All right, good evening, everybody. Lee Hoffman, Western Cape Teachers Forum, and as we promised, we are chatting this evening to a teacher from Wespoort Primary School in Mitchells Plain.
Yes.
You've seen the poster. I'm loving to do the introductions. Brittnay, good evening.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Look, if tired was a person, this is me. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we've had a very exhausting week, but this is not
Yes.
about me. Talk to us about who's Brittnay Hoffman at Wespoort Primary School. And just a short introduction. Give us an overview of who you are.
Okay, so it's basically very simple. I'm Brittnay Hoffman. I'm a grade 2 educator at Wespoort Primary. Started teaching there last year. Grade 1 teacher and now grade 2. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! So you're quite new in the system, and I like the fact that you've only just entered, because there's so many. There's quite a different approach to our young educators versus the more seasoned ones, but
Yes.
both ends of the spectrums are valued, because we
Yes.
educate for every single person in our system. Now, Brittnay, your surname is
Yeah.
Hoffman. My surname is Hoffman. Are we related?
You have to tell me because I would not know. I would not know. But you
No.
never know. Everyone is connected somehow, so could be possible.
Yeah. Now look,
Your surname is a double N.
there we go.
Mine
So, yeah. So my one is kind of double N, and it's not a very common one. To be honest with you, I don't
is
know the extent of my family tree, but in any case, I like your you got a cool surname, by the way.
of course.
Pretty
You,
now, I saw this morning we posted a social media video a video on our page where Westwood Primary School teachers were strutting their stuff in terms of the cha-cha
yes.
dance. And you know that your video got 5,000, over 5,000 views, eh? So your school,
Oh,
it's
wow.
quite a hit.
That's amazing. Yes. I saw it. We didn't even think that would happen, to be very honest. So apparently the principal had requested for a video to be made, and then we thought also that one of the sirs was saying we need to show the children how social distancing is going to be made fun, because they can't just stand on one spot. We have to somehow show them that it's going to be fun, and as teachers we lead by example, so we have to
Absolutely.
do it.
Now, I can tell you some of your guys have got quite the moves there. But, Britt, just
Yeah.
to get into the business of the interview, man. So we in COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 or whatever you want to call it, we had a lockdown period that was implemented on the 18th of March, and our
Yeah.
colleagues, our teachers came back a few weeks ago, and there was, look, day one. People are back at
Yeah.
work now. What was your day one like at Wespoort Primary School?
So as we all know, it was raining terribly. We had not experienced that amount of rain. And then when we have to go work, it is literally pouring. So mind you, it was really difficult to even get up. Arriving at the school day one, I tried not to be very anxious. I thought to myself, you know what, let's just do this, see what happens. So if there was some sort of nerves and anxiousness, but I thought to myself, okay, it's just us there, so I think it will be okay. And knowing that the principal had constantly reminded us that things are in place and all that's needed was done. So I think that gave us peace of mind that, okay, we're in good hands, we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was basically my day one at the
I
school.
recall the day that teachers had to go back. It was pouring buckets in Cape Town, eh? So,
Yeah.
which begs to ask the question: do you guys have a school hall? Were you at least covered in terms of that? Because there were many colleagues who were
No,
exposed, unfortunately.
and that's it. Unfortunately, we don't have a school hall. But surprisingly, on that day, with everybody arriving, it wasn't very clustered. So if the staff room was going to be, or the entrance of the school was going to be clustered, you'd be informed that you just need to wait a few minutes in your car so that you don't get caught in the rain, that you don't stand there for long periods of time. And of course, the social distancing, keeping the
Yeah.
social distance in place. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, although the PPEs were in place, your sanitizers, your masks, and the school was prepared, so there was no issues regarding that one.
Not entirely. The school, I have to say, in all honesty, compared to what I've read and heard from other colleagues saying their schools, our school was really, I can advantage in a sense that the PPEs were there, the sanitizers were there. The minute you arrived at the gate of the school, your hands were sanitized. Once you get out of your car, there's obviously those lines painted on the floor where you need to stand. So entering, they spray, sanitize your feet. Before you even take the pen of the register, you have to sanitize your hands, sign in the register, go to the screening, be screened, fill in, like you had to answer 4 questions. And then also we received an app from the department that we needed to download called the Teachers Screening Tool. And then you also have to answer those few questions. And that's basically the screening process. And then you leave to your classroom because we don't have a hall. So all the teachers couldn't go to the hall. So instead of making the staff room really full, we all then had to report directly to our class immediately, and announcements were made for when grades and phases then had to come for a meeting or briefing. So day one was basically an orientation. That week was orientation for the teachers to get used to the system of social distancing, being aware of your space, the new protocol, new norm, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Man, I take my hat off to you guys because it sounds to me like there was sufficient planning in place. I mean, in the midst of all this uncertainty and anxiety and concern, you still have sound administration in place, and that is commendable. So you're very
Yeah.
fortunate to work at the school that actually exercises sound
Yes.
administration. Now, Britt, in recent days, you would know that we've got what we call hotspots in our country, and
Yeah.
more especially the densely populated areas now.
Yeah.
Kailita, Mitchell's Plain, I'm not too sure if we regard it as hotspot at this stage, but before schools reopened for learners on the first, in Mitchell's Plain already there were a number of schools that reported cases among the staff. Now, Imperial Primary, there was Hyacinth, there was the Haig in Delft, there was Park Vale in Valhalla Park. I think there was a school in Kraaifontein as well, and that was widely reported in the media. Now, obviously, this information most certainly have a negative impact on one's psyche. So, what strategies, if at all, does your school have in place to deal with the emotional and mental distress that teachers may be experiencing at this time?
I have to say that from our principal's view, it's that we just need to remain positive and that we need to remind each other that we all in this together. You're not an island. We are all going this pandemic. And I think it's just a matter of trying to remain positive. Yes, being aware of what is happening. Obviously, you can't be oblivious to the fact that COVID-19 is real and it's happening. But also not to be fearful, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be constantly fearful, it's that kind of thing that makes you feel sick, you feel drained, you feel like you don't want to go and work. So just him telling us and the SMT telling us, listen guys, we're all in this together. The SMT has been to the school before we arrived and things are in place. We can't 100% guarantee your safety, but we've done what we've needed to do. And so that was very important. And then when we had a meeting, we were discussing that, listen, if you are feeling anxious, anyone is feeling overwhelmed, speak. Don't go into a little island and stress yourself out because
Yeah.
that's not going to help at all.
Yeah, I think this is a time where colleagues really have to be there for one another. Now we know that the department, I mean, are trying their level best, I suppose, to deal with all the cases that might come to the fore. And one of the things is probably the psychosocial support that people are going to be requesting. So, but I would want to almost say that, in this stage, at this time, we need to be there for one another, check in constantly with one another, even if it's just the odd SMS, WhatsApp, popping in, guys, are you fine? That kind of thing. the wellness
Yeah.
aspect needs to be addressed almost all the time. Now, Brittany, you were grade two teacher, if I'm correct,
Yes.
and the grade seven learners are expected to return on Monday.
Yeah.
Um, is so obviously we know that the grade seven teachers are going to be engaging in the orientation and engaging with the learners. So what does the school have in place for the rest of the teaching staff?
Because our school is we have quite a large staff. So we have a duty roster. So we divide it into groups, and the duty roster is set for us to be on duty, whether it is screening, whether it is taking temperatures, whether it is during the children's break time to check that they're actually social distancing, but not just watching them and looking at them and thinking, okay, this is what you're going to do during break, but actually engaging with them and telling them, listen, let's play a game, let's sing a song, let's do something fun, try and be creative. Because what our school has done is that they've painted little feet on the grounds of the school. So it's the little feet is there when you enter the school. It's at the girls and boys toilets. There's like when they line up, there's little feet as well, so that they constantly reminded that that's where they need to be. And so what the school is also trying to implement is have shapes painted on the floor so that the children hop around on the shapes. Obviously not together, but once someone moves, you can move again. So trying to make this work, because I mean COVID-19 is still going to be around for a bit. So we have to do something to make it work and to work around it, because life needs to go on. Nothing has stopped.
Yeah. Now, just very interesting that you mentioned that. It's very innovative ideas. Now, who's responsible? Who's responsible for painting those markers, as it were? I saw it in the video, and I thought this
Yes.
was quite cute. So I was just wondering, who's responsible for the, marking of those things?
Our cleaning staff have taken the responsibility of doing that. So they have been doing that. The cleaning staff returned to school, I think, with the S&T as well. So they were briefed and they were told what to do. They had obviously come in to clean the classes, and so there had already been a plan as to what they needed to do. So they've painted those.
Oh, okay. Now, the issue of social distancing. As adults, we are able to sort of exercise it and to be responsible in terms of that. And sometimes we slip up even because
Yes.
I remember, when we went back to office after all this time, it was almost not impossible, but it was very, very, very difficult to restrain yourself because you were so excited to see everybody, and you so know
Yes.
it was so it's a natural thing to go over and hug, and
Yes.
so are you guys able to manage the issue of social distancing as a staff consistently?
You know, we are really trying our best. We are trying our best. We constantly have to remind ourselves that we need to not only protect ourselves, but we need to protect our staff members, because we come home to families, we don't know who we've come in contact with. So we need to be conscious, constantly conscious and mindful. And there's so many posters put up: sanitize your hands, cough into your arm. So all those things being around, like children, when you have posters and pictures around you, you constantly reminded. So that also helps us a lot. And obviously seeing all these sanitizers and all of these things, so it reminds you. For example, when you enter the staff room, there are stickers on the chairs for where you can sit. So you can't sit on a chair that doesn't have a sticker.
Mm.
So and those stickers are neon. So
Yeah,
there's no way you can say you didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like you saw it's a neon sticker.
yeah.
Don't go and sit on one that doesn't have a sticker.
Yeah, no, I like that because it's almost in your face all the time. It's constantly reminding
Yeah,
because look, we slip up, and it's going
that's
to take us a
true.
while to get into this whole new order almost. It's a new reality.
It
Uh,
is most definitely.
yeah, so, you know, how do we address the issue of the new role and responsibilities that learners now have in the new normal that we find ourselves now? Wearing of masks, constantly sanitizing the hands, that kind of thing. What do you think, or what does the school put in place to sort of constantly remind learners about that, or in terms of their responsibility now?
So the children, it's our responsibility as a teachers to constantly remind the children, and also even to parents who are at home. Don't paint a pretty picture about this virus. Be real and honest. Try to make it as simple as possible and explain it to children in, I don't know, what possible creative way, and to remind them that this thing is real. So we need to indoctrinate it into their heads, constantly remind them. And with children, repetition, telling them, listen, this thing is real, but don't be afraid. Be careful, wash your hands, all those necessary things. I think as teachers, it is going to be so crazy. Remember Monday, there was a lot of confusion as to whether the grade 7s were coming or not coming. So we had some of our grade 7s come to school. I think we had about, I think it was like 9 or 11 of them. And them being at school, you can see that the children they are actually like scared and afraid. And so fortunately for me, I was on duty on Monday when they were there. And so during their break time, they literally go and they sit on those little feet.
Oh,
Because
man.
oh my word, okay, what must I do now? So,
Yeah.
and then eventually when we started like playing with them and telling them to move around, you could see that they were lightening up. But children, when they get overexcited and they're like, hey, you need to calm down, break away, you guys seem too close to each other, you are standing too close to each other. So that constant reminder. And what is also going to be very important in schools is that teachers have to always be on duty. There is no possible way that you can take a break if there isn't someone else fulfilling your duty, because you need to watch these children. You need to tell them, don't do this. You need to tell them, this is what you have to do. This is where you need to go. It's going to be constantly having to tell them what they need to do.
Yeah. Look, now you would have you would have known that a week ago there were very confusing and conflicting messages that were sent
Yeah,
out, and I know it's a very sensitive issue. And
yeah,
now, on one department said provincial children are going back to school. In fact,
yeah.
the Department of Basic Education made that pronouncement. And soon thereafter, the Sunday prior to the reopening, there was a statement that sort of that said the contrary. And so schools were in a tiz. Some principals then went on and issued letters to the parent community to say keep your children. The others say, look, we're going forward. And there was a huge reaction on the media. Now, what did Wespoort Primary do in that instance where the grade 7 learners are concerned?
Listen, if I could show you our group chat and how the principal was just telling everyone, remain calm. I'm telling you, the second he gets communication, he pushes the communication through. So we weren't left in the dark. We were told what was happening. We were said, in the next hour, I will have this information for you. In the next 10 minutes, I will have this. In the next 5 minutes, I will have this. And it came to the point that our children were now going to have to come to school. And, parents were messaging the grade 7 teachers, can my child come? Is it safe for my child to come? So it was rather chaotic. But I think it's very important that top management is open and they are communicating to their staff constantly. And so that was our case, is that the principal had constantly been telling us, okay, this is what is said, this is what is being said. But for our school, we were prepared for these grade 7 learners. Probably not 100% because this is all trial and error. But we were prepared as a school. We had been thinking, okay, the children are coming now, past Monday. And then children did come. They did arrive. There was, and like I said, about 9 of them. But even with those confusing messages, we as the staff knew we anyway had to come to school. And we came to a point that, listen, if the children come, they come. We make the best of the situation when they are here. Because what can we do? We can't send the children home.
Yeah.
So
Now,
we just had to make the best.
yeah. Now, what do you say to parents at this stage the grade 7 and 12s? Because remember, They are the first batch of the phase-in approach. So, what do you say
Yeah.
to parents that are saying, I'm keeping my child at home for the balance of this year out of concern?
Okay. So when parents say that to us as teachers, we obviously going to ask you, we'll ask you why, because we can't just say, okay, you're just keeping your child. Yes, you can be, we'll understand you are afraid, you are scared, you know your child. We know your child too. So we can't say to parents, you must send your children in. We can't do that. So the teachers have been informed to tell them, listen, we are going to try and work out a system with you. We have been doing online schooling. We have been sending workbooks home before the announcement that schools were going to close. The principal had told us that this is the speculation and this is what people are talking about. So let's try and get holiday programs ready for the children, especially the children who don't have internet access, who can't receive work that you're going to send to them by the WhatsApp group. So there had been preparation for all of this.
Mm.
So we say to the parents, look, we can work out a system with you. Come and collect work. Send me pictures of the work if your child can't make it. At this stage, we are still discussing what we are going to do when it comes to the assessment for the children. And that's obviously the discussion that's in the pipeline, but we are not forcing parents. We're not saying to them, you must send your child to school. We are
Yeah.
encouraging them here, saying to them, listen, if your child comes, this is what is in place. But if you can't send your child, if your child is asthmatic or there is something wrong with your child, then we are going to work out a system with you. We are going to send work, receive work. We're going to make this work. Somehow we have to make this work.
Yeah, you were almost answering my next question because I was going to ask now.
Oh, funny.
No, that's perfectly fine. I was going to
Okay.
ask, how do you, I mean, are the learners with, I mean, I'm sure it's very likely that there are learners with underlying medical conditions,
Yeah.
as is the case with teachers. And my question was going to be, so how would the school support such learners who would then have to be given a concession to work from home or learn from home?
Yeah.
So are you able to reach those learners with the underlying
No,
medical conditions?
no, we definitely are. We definitely are. So there is this online schooling. This is online schooling that learners can do. So what happens? You receive the application form from the secretary of the school. You fill it in. There's requirements, and then you register your child on the online schooling system. This is not homeschooling. You're obviously not going to deregister your child from the system. All of that. That's just work that the department would also be sending, with us also sending work for your child. But you see, not everyone would be possibly able to do that, because some parents are going to keep their children at home who don't even have underlying medical conditions. So we still have to have another system in place for those children and to reach those children.
Yeah. Now, but if you're at this stage, I just want to quickly move over to the comment section of our live feed.
Okay.
I just want to pick up on some of the things that are being mentioned here, if you don't mind.
No.
Dominic Peters says, nice to hear
Yeah.
what other schools do. I'm not sure if you know Dominic Peters.
Maybe if I said the face. No, I don't.
Yeah, and Naomi Julius is on. Chantal Pigram Miller is saying good evening. Okay, they're basically just greeting one another, but I picked up a
Okay.
comment that I saw. Now, why can't I see it now? Was there was a comment from Jessica Wasserfall. Now, Jessica is, we're going to be chatting to her in the coming days, but she wanted to
Oh,
know something specifically around yeah, if I can pick it up now. But in any case, okay, maybe it's just uh, my ineptness here with the technology, I guess. But yeah, I would have wanted just to look at Jessica's one and maybe just chat about that, but I can't find it now. Anyways, so now during the lockdown period, were you able to communicate with the parents and learners? And I recall that the Department of Education had a learning channel. There were many schools that posted that they get do remote teaching by means of you know, online and so on, with
Yeah,
tablets and cell phones and WhatsApp and all this, even Zoom and MST. Were you guys
yeah.
able to do the same thing?
Um, Maybe in some situations, but remember, we are an ordinary public school, of which all of our children don't have access to the internet, and those things cost money.
Yeah,
So it was rather challenging. However, the school has a WhatsApp number where we communicate to the parents via directly. So they WhatsApp directly the school if they can't get hold of the teacher. Because remember, generally it's always easier to have the contact details of the foundation phase children. You know, they
yeah,
take their letter home and parents are committed and they fill it in. But once the children get to your intersend phase, they are rather more so lackey daisy in
yeah,
terms of contact. You don't always have their numbers.
yeah,
Um, but we've really tried to reach the majority of our children.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, most certainly one of the things that this COVID-19 had exposed, and I keep on saying it, was the inequalities in the system. I mean,
Yes,
to this day, there are still schools who do not have running water. Maybe not in,
yes,
but it might not be prevalent in our province, but I mean, most certainly
yeah,
it's the reality for many schools in other
yeah,
provinces. You know, something as what some people would regard as obvious and is a school hall. Now, many of our schools do not have school halls. There's no
yes.
space.
Moving.
So, yeah, and so this thing most certainly, and you know, maybe not a question to you, just a comment that I'm making at this stage. Something that I find very interesting. There was this COVID relief package, just 500 billion that the president had announced that would be made
Yes,
available for unemployed people during this time. But not 1 cent of that was earmarked for education. So it
yeah,
certainly, in my mind, you know, it doesn't sit well because it
yes.
seems as if education is not prioritized. But be that as it may, oh, here is the comment of Jessica that I'm able to pick up.
Okay, wonderful.
And it says here, Jessica Wasserman, she's a psychologist, by the way. And she
Okay,
she said, yeah, I'm very interested to know what Brittnay's school has in place regarding discipline strategies and the code of
yeah.
conduct, particularly when protocols such as social distancing and wearing of masks are not being followed by learners. I don't know if you want to take that one. Um,
Okay. I'll see how far I can go. Um, so for example, because we haven't had all the children there, and the children who did come on Monday were not misbehaving. But it's very simple. Breaking the rules of a COVID-19, we are gonna have to call your parents and we are gonna have to discuss with your parents because we are in a time where we can't be playing with children or people's lives. If you are coming to school and you know you are intentionally coming to break the code of conduct, we're gonna have to call your parents to come and collect you somehow.
yeah,
Something needs to be done. It's not that we there is the staff is too little for us to go and sit and babysit you for you to behave. You need to really now realize that this is intense, so you can't be like be unnecessary.
mm,
You know, if you make a mistake and it wasn't the intention, you didn't mean for it to happen because we're all learning, and yeah, yes, okay, we are just going to remind you can't do it again. But coming to school and intentionally wanting to be disrespectful and break rules and think that this is a funny joke that you can come and um, misbehave, that is not going to be on. And you will then we're going to have to somehow get your parents in, and you're going to have to
yeah.
listen.
Look, I think at this stage, parents need to plays a crucial role in all of this.
Yes.
I refer
No.
to them as, I mean, teachers, parents, learners, now they are stakeholders, but we are all partners in the learning process. So we
Yeah.
rely on the support of parents at this, even before they get into the schooling system after COVID-19. There needs to be
Yeah.
some kind of sensitizing to the new normal, you know,
Yes.
and I think it's orientation even for our learners whilst they're being at home, guys. This is what's going to happen, and it's a difficult thing. Believe me, I mean,
Yeah.
I've got children at home, and it's difficult for us to
Yes.
drive home that thing, especially when they're 2 years old, 3 years old. What do they know
Yes. Of
about social
course.
distancing in any case? Or
Yes.
6 year olds and 7 year olds. And then this, okay, Dominic Peters says and makes a comment, and she says, he or she, sorry, Dominic, if it's, I mean, it says, hi, it's very difficult not touching your face in mask. So for us as teachers, it's difficult. We do slip up. So we need to be mindful of our kids when they return. I take note of that, Dominic. Dominic further says, break times are the worst. We have to see them almost like prisoners. I agree. Being on
Yeah, that is true. That is really true.
yeah. Anyways, Britt, now I'm going to throw you a curveball before
Wait, I
I.
just want to say something on Dominic's comment, and that it's very true what she's saying, that we have to almost see them as prisoners, most definitely. But I think we also need to just subconsciously remind ourselves that we cannot grow cold in a sense. Yes, we need to see them as prisoners, and because you need to protect yourself, but also try not to really draw cold towards the children. Yes, be safe, constantly remind them why we are doing what we are doing, because we don't want any of them to get infected. And
Yeah,
so that is why it looks and seems as if we're seeing them as prisoners.
yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to pose one or two questions to you. Would you agree with me that as a teacher, like I'm a teacher myself, so as
Yeah.
teachers, we need to be thinking on our feet, isn't it so?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Let me now think that I'm in my classroom thinking on my.
All right. So as a teacher, I'm gonna pose 4 or 5 questions to you.
Oh, Lord.
Sort of
All
a riddle.
five.
Okay. So the first thing is what goes up and never comes down.
Age.
Whoa.
Age.
Well done,
Age.
teacher.
Yes.
Okay. What has a neck but no head?
A neck but no head. No, Lee, tell me.
A
No,
bottle.
no.
All right. What begins with
Okay.
wait. What begins with E but only has one letter?
You can tell me.
An envelope. You're, sup-
Envelope.
you're supposed to be knowing these things. Remember, your learners are going to be asking
You
this.
know, I'm going to be honest. As teachers, when we go into the class, we prepare. We especially those riddles. If we're going to ask the children, look for those answers.
Okay. Two more coming. Two more coming.
Oh my word. Oh my
British
word.
parents have 3 children. Snap, crackle, and
I'm not going to say pop.
what are you going to say? What's your answer? 5, 4.
Then you said David
No, I'm saying Brittany. British parents have 3 children. Snap, crackle, and
and Brittnay.
yeah. What that? What that? What that? And then lastly, let me think. Which one can I use here? Where
Oh,
can
yeah.
you listen to this one? Where can you find cities, towns, shops, and streets, but no people? Think about this one. Where can you find cities, towns, shops, and streets, but no people?
Sounds like Monopoly.
On a map.
On a map. Okay, on a map. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I just thought I'd throw that one in for fun. But
Okay.
I've, I've enjoyed our session here this evening, and we've touched on just but the we just scratched the surface. That there are so many things that we still need to explore at this stage, and as a education fraternity, as individual schools, as people, and we that is part of why I'm hosting these conversations. And a lot of time, or you would appreciate that when mainstream media, when they allow education sector persons to make comments, it would most probably be your ministers, those are in
Yes.
authoritative positions. And so the practitioners on the ground like you and I, we don't necessarily, or we don't always get a platform where we can just share our concerns,
Yeah.
our anxiety, our fears, our hopes, our ideas even. And so this platform, I wish to, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I started this thing, just to get the conversation going, because I think it's important
Yes.
that we pool resources, that we share ideas, because we are busy writing a manual for COVID-19. This has never happened to any one of us. And so this is brand new territory for everybody. So at this stage, you know what? Thank you for availing yourself to share with us. And I wish to state also that You are not representing an organization or an institution, just sharing insights and thoughts from one teacher to another, and with the
Yeah.
hope that this thing just gets shared, and so that people can be encouraged to share their story from wherever they are. Now, but lastly, um, you know that we are, a lot of our people are very anxious, very concerned. Teachers, learners, parents, and because we're navigating this new normal, and part of this anxiety that we have is not knowing what to expect next.
Yeah.
Now, what message of hope and encouragement do you have for our
Yeah.
parents, our learners, our educators, at this stage?
Like I said previously, is that we are all in this together. You are not alone. It is a time for us to really to draw close to one another, not physically, but emotionally. Know that we are there for each other. It's a time to support one another. Um, to remind each other that we are going to make it. We are going to go through this, and we are going to make it. There has been we've experienced many scares. HIV, cancer was really huge, and we've not overcome this, but we've learned to grow with it. And so coronavirus is just another one of those things. And when something is new, it seems really huge, and it is very huge. But just the fact that I know, what, you are there for me, you are supporting me, you have my back. If I need you, I can speak to you. And so just to remain positive in this whole situation, I know it is very tough, and many people suffer from anxiety, and it's not always going to be gloomy, and it's not always going to be fantastic. But let's hold on to the hope that we are going to survive this. We are going to overcome this, man. We are not in this alone. We're not the only country facing this alone. The whole world is experiencing this great, great pandemic. And how amazing it is going to be when all of this is over and we've come through it. And at the end, we say, we actually made it. Yes, this and this happened, and it was crazy, but we made it. And that is important. Remain positive and know that we are going to make it. We are going to make it. We are going to survive this. Yes, lots of people have already lost the battle to the coronavirus, but those those happen, and I share my sympathy with those who had experienced that. But for us who are still this side of the world, for us to realize that we need each other, we need to support one another, and we are going to make it. We are going to survive. Let's keep the positivity going,
Sure.
despite how negative the situation may be.
No, man, I don't want you to stop talking. I'm downloading and punching. You know, yeah, this too shall pass. Yeah,
This too shall pass.
yeah.
Definitely.
You know,
What's going to pass, we don't know, but it's going to pass.
yeah. Brittnay, I keep on saying this whenever I end of the conversation. Now, I when I listen to, man, people sent in videos today. Your school was one of it. The old dance, the cha 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 dance. That was so cute. Again, people are able to maintain and keep their wits about them. They are even
Yes.
able to share some positive things, man, amidst the storm that we find us. It's heavy. The atmosphere is heavy. The work that I do, it's heavy, it's bad, it's negative by nature. But when I see our teachers coming out and they share their little pockets of excellence, their positive vibes, it warms my soul. When I listen to you, but you 2 years in the system.
Hmm.
Is it 13 or 14 years? I think 13 years. Is it?
It's so long.
I know. I mean, I feel like a fossil, but there might be. I mean, at least there's a
No,
lot.
you're not a fossil. Not a
But
fossil.
yeah, but I and at times you feel, yo, did I make the right call to go into education to become a teacher? Many times you are
Yes.
confronted with a question like, uh, why did you become a teacher? My almost immediate response is, why not? You know,
Yes.
because I defend my profession because I'm
Yeah.
passionate about it. And so
Of course.
when I connect with people who are as passionate about this thing like such as yourself, it really gives me the strength to keep on keeping on. So
Yeah.
allow me at this stage, Brett, to say thank you very much for your time. We've really enjoyed chatting to you, and I want to wish you every single thing of the very best as Wespoort Primary, as Brittnay Hoffman make sense of this new normal. We don't know what the next day or 2 or 3 is going to look like, but we maintain our positivism, our positivity, like some people say, and let's keep spreading hope, and let's be agents of hope. Let's be hope dealers, as opposed to zooming in on the doom and gloom. I know there's a lot of schools that are not ready at this stage. I know that there are a lot
Yes.
of teachers that are battling because they have underlying chronic medical conditions and they cannot get into the teaching space at this stage of the pandemic. But for us that are able to keep this thing alive, let's keep on doing what we're doing. And thank you very much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you so much for having me and having me share. It's only been a great pleasure. And I look forward to just continuing to spread positivity. And even you, this whole initiative, it's absolutely amazing. It's an amazing platform to just share some positivity and keeping hope alive, man. That's the only thing that we have is hope.
Yeah. On that note, Brittnay, have yourself a fantastic weekend. And come Monday, I trust that Wespoort Primary is going to thrive in excellence as they eagerly receive their little ones.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All
Thank you
right.
so much,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.